Hey, it's Marcus from Holosuite, and I'm trying something new this week. I'm going to review the new plugin from Oeksound, I hope that's how it's pronounced, called Bloom. I'm curious to see whether this is going to be useful for ambient musicians and whether you should invest your money in picking this plugin up. Now, if you're not familiar with the Oeksound company, they're probably the most famous plugin is Soothe 2. Soothe 2 is used for detecting and taming resonances, so it kind of makes things sound less harsh, hence the name. And Bloom is an adaptive EQ, I guess. From my understanding, it analyzes your EQ in real time and will adjust it as per the parameters you've set on these four dials here. All right, well, let's do a quick overview of the interface. So you can see here that we've got our visualizer down here. It's going to show you what's happening. We've got 4 bands. We've got lows, low mids, high mids, and highs, and each one has this kind of adjustment here. Then we have a total amount, so this is basically the wet dry, and it has this fancy thing at the top here called squash, where everything starts to compress as it goes over the top here. We've also got quality setting. I'm going to set that to high. We can choose whether we want to go mid-side or left-right or just standard stereo. You can calibrate your squash. You can calibrate the trim, so the gain of the wet signal. And then you've got a total mix, and then you've got a total gain output and a bypass. And let's have a look at something happening here to see what it sounds like. So at the moment it's just showing what the raw signal sounds like. Obviously this must be some kind of calibration line. I'm not sure what the white versus the purple really means. But let's choose, we've got lots of presets over here. I'm going to choose, I really like the Mix Bus Sheen one. All right, now here we can see things happening. So if we click over here, you can see what's actually being done on each side. And I can move these around here to change how much has been done. Well, that doesn't seem to make a huge difference, but we'll leave that alone for the moment. I can adjust the total amount of everything, so just to the point where it starts compressing. It's kind of cool. Yeah, it kind of saturates a little bit too when it's squashed. It's quite fun. I can also choose what parts are being affected by pulling these back and forth. And we've got low and high cuts as well if we want to. So if we think about this in a mixing context, so this is just a single track in a whole mix. So what is this going to do for my individual tracks? So you can see that it's trying to pull parts out where it thinks that the resonances might be too strong, and it's trying to emphasize things where it thinks that it needs to add things. Now I can tell here, this is a pretty subtle. Obviously I can really boost things up. Annoyingly, it doesn't tell me exactly how many decibels it's being reduced or added, so I'm not sure. It seems pretty subtle to me. I can't imagine that there's more than a few dB being added or removed. So if I was dealing with a track that had a lot of kind of crappy resonances and or I was having trouble removing areas to kind of deal with masking, I'm not sure exactly how much help this would be. I think that the soothe might be a little bit better for that. But it certainly is good at enhancing the individual tracks. So here, I mean, it is making it sound better. And I mean, if you want the really extreme effects, like pushing it right into the squash is pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, I really like this. It's really pretty, and it's obviously doing the right things. Like, it's not doing anything that I don't want it to do. At the moment, I'm just not sure how useful this might be for ambient music, mostly because it doesn't seem to be kind of made for it here. You can see there's a lot of stuff like 808 beat enhancer, acoustic guitar. These things are mostly made for instruments that are kind of more standard. So in terms of a total mix, I can see that this would probably be really fun, and it would add some enhancement to everything, but I don't think it would be very good for fixing issues that you might have. So you'd have to be pretty good at already knowing what parts to remove, and this would basically just be adding extra polish to those tracks. Right, so how about from a mastering perspective? My guess here is that it's going to be really good because it seems to be very subtle, and mastering is all about subtlety. So I think this is going to make an appreciable difference that's going to improve this track. So here's a track that's already been mixed and probably mastered. Let's see if we can improve it. Okay, cool. So it's adding a little bit of extra to the top and a little bit of extra to the bottom. So it's kind of giving that smiley thing. But I kind of like what it's doing to the top. I'm not sure if I like exactly what's going on in the mids, but you know, we can adjust that. Yeah, so I think with a little bit of tweaking here, we can get a pretty cool, very subtle improvement to this. I really like what's happening in the highs. Now, hopefully you can hear that. It's just kind of uplifting things in the kind of upper mids and the highs a little bit there. So this is why I like the subtlety, because it's not going to kind of completely transform things, or it's not going to make some decision that's going to take it off in a completely different direction. It's just going to make things sound a little bit better. And as a mastering engineer, that gives this a lot of value for me, because I don't want to completely transform the track. I want it to just sound a little bit nicer. All right, so would I recommend this to ambient artists? Well, let's look at it from a couple of different ways. So there's the mixing perspective and there's the mastering perspective. From a mixing perspective, this could be useful if you're already pretty good at mixing, if you're already getting pretty tight mixes, but you just want to kind of add a little bit more to your mix. So you want to get like an extra 10 or 20%. I think this would be really good. It's not for trying to tame harsh resonances, or it's not for helping you to deal with things like masking, which is a real problem in ambient music, because a lot of things tend to overlap with each other. I don't think this is going to be a fix for those. So I think this is really for just enhancing the tracks that you already have to get a little bit more out of them. From a mastering perspective, I think this could be useful. It's definitely what it's aimed at is giving you that extra kind of little bit of polish. If you already own the Oeksound series, you've basically got everything that this has. So if you've got the clarity module, and the clarity module is all about adding a little bit extra sheen on a kind of micro level in the mix. And then you've got the stabilizer, which is doing the same thing on a more macro level. And it includes some other things that the Bloom doesn't include. For example, you can target specific parts of the mix, for example, just the bass or just the vocals. So you have a few more things that you can play with in there. Now, obviously, Oeksound's more expensive comparatively, but I think on like a per plugin basis, you're probably getting better value with Oeksound. You're also getting things like the maximizer, which is a fantastic limiter. You're getting the tape effect in there. You're getting the exciter, which is my favorite saturator. So probably in terms of value for money, you're gonna do better with Oeksound. So go try this out yourself. There's a 20-day trial. Use as much of it as you can. And obviously, if you want to buy it, wait for a Black Friday sale. They do one every year. It's a bit secret. I think you have to join their mailing list to get notified, but they usually do a Black Friday sale, very short one. So I hope this was of use for you. Let me know what you think. If you want to tell me I'm wrong in the comments below, go ahead. If there's anything that I mentioned in the video today that you're struggling with and you can't afford to buy this plugin, let me know and I'll make a tutorial for you. There are plenty of ways to get the same kind of effect using stock plugins. It's obviously just easier if you're using something like this plugin. Don't forget to check the link in the description. You've got links to free resources, and there's a link to a form where you can request a free master sample from me. As always, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's keep making the kinds of tutorials that you need as ambient and experimental musicians. And until next time, keep making music. Cheers.